Hope you're doing well. Back for another Sunday video here. Out in the wilderness at Casa de Ryan. Well, apparently it's my parents' house. I'm just here for the summer, but you probably don't care about that. You're probably more interested in bodybuilding programming, reps in reserve, training to failure, what to do. So I think that programming for this is sometimes one of the more difficult things to actually adhere to. And my experience with this. So back when I was a bro, well, I'm still definitely a bro for sure, as you can see with the cutoff. Hopefully we don't. All right, so back when I was more of a bro, I should say, I used to train for 3 to 4 hours every single day. And when I was in high school, I was already doing 2-a-day sessions. I would go in and I would train in the morning, and then in the afternoon, we would train for our football workout, and then I would train again for bodybuilding purposes. And I remember staying in the gym. My rule was I couldn't leave the gym until the wrestlers got done with practice. So I would get done at like 3 p.m. and then the wrestlers wouldn't get done with practice till like 5:30. So each and every day, I would come in the morning before school, and then I would stay in the gym at night until like 5:30. I had the attitude of more is better and I'm just gonna outwork everybody. It's kind of my attitude, and I got some decent results, but more so a reason of I was eating all the protein in the world and I was just training hard, and I was within my first couple of years of training, and I would have got results doing probably 20% of the work I was doing. So my background is more so of that train to failure, bro style training. And since then, I've transitioned to leaving reps in reserve. And man, I think that my results have been far better. My workouts are just more efficient, and I think it anecdotally for me, it's worked a lot better. And anecdotally for quite a bit of others, it works a lot better. And that's not to say you shouldn't train to failure, or that people who train to failure all the time or every set are necessarily doing something wrong. But I think that there is rationale for not training to failure all the time. All right. So why do I think that not training to failure is a good idea? So I think that an average of 2 reps in reserve across your training cycle is a relatively good idea. And the reason I think this is because it comes back to that stimulus to fatigue ratio. For example, I think that a set to all-out failure is a 10 out of 10 fatigue, but it's also a 10 out of 10 stimulus. Now, a set with 4 reps in reserve, that's probably like, what, a 5 or 6 in regards to fatigue, but it's probably like an 8 for stimulus. Like, you probably still get the majority of the stimulus when you're keeping 3 to 4 reps in the tank. And then if you work that down to 2 reps in reserve, I think that you're probably like a 9.5 out of 10 for stimulus, but your fatigue is probably 7 or 8, not nearly as much as I think taking something to all-out failure. So I think that if you're able to maximize that stimulus fatigue ratio on a per set basis and a per mesocycle basis, there's a chance that you'll see better results. And, there are certain studies that will look at training to failure versus not training to failure, and it sure seems like if you at least save your training to failure till later on in a session or later on in a mesocycle, that you'll actually be able to work harder over time and be able to perform more volume. For example, if I'm going to go in there and do barbell back squats, and I take my first set of 10 to all-out failure, my next few sets with that weight are probably going to be like 7 reps, 5 reps, 2 reps, something like that. But if I go in for those barbell back squats and that very first set, I keep a couple reps in the tank and just do 8 reps, I'm pretty confident I'll probably be able to maintain 8 reps for at least 2 or 3 sets, and then maybe my 4th set, 7 reps. And if you add that all up and add up the actual volume, sets times reps times weight, you'll actually probably get more work in by training to failure a little bit less. And if you compound this over all your exercises, all your muscle groups, all across an entire training mesocycle, I think that you would surprise yourself with how much more work you're able to get in, more effective work you're able to get in by keeping a couple of reps on average in the tank. Now, don't get me wrong. A couple of reps in the tank is still difficult training. Keeping 2 reps in the tank on a set of deadlifts is still like death. So, don't get me wrong. Keeping reps in the tank, a couple of reps in the tank is still difficult training. And in no point of time should you leave the gym without feeling like, did I even work out? But I think that if you're able to control yourself, it's difficult for me too, and it took me a long time to get there. You're able to get a more effective stimulus and more work done. You're able to do more effective work in the gym by leaving a couple of reps in the tank. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, like less hard on a per set basis equals more work. I actually think it does in this scenario. And another big benefit I think this has is workout efficiency. So for me, I superset a lot of my work, and I will tend to superset chest with back and stuff like that. And if I took a set of chest to all out failure, I still might need 2 to 3 minutes to have an effective set for my back because I'm more systemically fatigued from that set of chest training. However, if I leave a couple of reps in the tank, I can get going with my next set of back quite a bit sooner. So I think that it makes my workout so much more efficient by leaving a couple of reps in the tank, and I don't have to wait as long between sets, and I can still get in and perform really well from set to set to set. So I think it has a really important implication in regards to efficiency as well. And then if you're more efficient on a per set basis, well, then you might have more time to train, and you might have more free time to relax and recover and do other non-lifting stuff. Maybe go on a walk out in the wilderness with your dog or something like that. I think it kind of looks like Jurassic Park out here a little bit, don't you think? I know when I was little, watching those Jurassic Park movies would scare me so much. Okay, true story. When I was younger, I would be so scared of the Grinch. I would, you know how he, like, in the movie, he went down through, like, a little tube and came out of the tube and popped out the Grinch, or I don't know what he did. But I was so scared of him that I wouldn't want to sit down on the toilet because I thought the Grinch would come up through the pipes. Because in the movie, he goes through that tube. But yeah, I was scared for a while. We're good now. I actually kind of like the movie, but it's got nothing on the Polar Express. That's my jam. Back to reps in reserve though. What was I talking about? So I was talking about efficiency. So yeah, it has that benefit of efficiency and a better stimulus to fatigue ratio. So what would an example mesocycle look like? I keep things nice and simple. And usually my mesocycles are 3 to 5 weeks long. So let's say it's 4 weeks. And the first 2 weeks, compound lifts, 2 to 4 reps in the tank, isolation lifts, right around 2, maybe 1 to 3 reps in the tank. Second 2 weeks, or the second set here. So weeks 3 and 4, compound lifts, maybe more so 1 to 3 reps in the tank, isolation lifts, maybe 0 to 2. And then across that training cycle, you'll probably average out pretty close to 2 reps in reserve. I've had some clients that having ranges from week to week actually confuses them a little bit more, and it makes more sense to do week 1, 4 reps in reserve, and week 2, 3, week 3, 2, week 4, 1. And then isolation lifts, I might go 3, 2, 1, 0. I can count. Awesome. And by doing things that way, you kind of maximize that stimulus to fatigue ratio. And then for a deload week, I know, Wesley, this is for you because he asked about it in the comment. A deload week, I tend to keep things simple as well. And all I do, I cut sets in half. And then the first half of the deload week, I keep my reps in reserve around 3 or 4. And then the second half of that deload week, I keep my reps in reserve around 4 or 5. Pretty easy. You're still in there and with reps in reserve of like 4 or 5, it's still enough weight to keep your strength adaptations and to do something a little bit in the gym. But with that cut in half of volume, it really drops fatigue because volume is likely the leading driver of fatigue. And then every 5 to 7 mesocycles, I'll probably run a full-on low volume maintenance phase and kind of a primer phase, just because those might have some other benefits that a deload might not bring you. And then when you come back after that deload week, it is so easy to overdo it because you're like, I'm ready to go. I'm going to crush this mesocycle. I'm feeling fresh, feeling good, ready to get it. Yeah. And when you come back, try to restrain yourself. It's really easy to go ham, but try to keep a few reps in the tank that first week, and I think that will lead to the most productive mesocycle that is possible for you. And if you're not good at reps in reserve, I really think videoing your lifts is the number one thing you can do, because sometimes you'll watch a set of squats and you're like, damn, that was hard. You'll watch it back on video and it's like, man, you were sandbagging a little bit. You have a few reps in the tank. Or the flip side, you might get done with your exercise and like, I had a few reps in the tank for sure. You watch it back on video, you're grinding reps, you're barely getting it. It's just a way to be more objective with yourself and to kind of learn reps in reserve. Then after videoing it, you can kind of figure out, okay, what's this reps in reserve? What's this reps in reserve? Usually, a good rule of thumb is 3 to 4 reps in reserve is probably right when the weight starts to slow down. So you're going, then it just starts to slow down. That's probably around 3 or 4 reps in reserve, and then it slows down a little bit more, obviously, less reps in reserve, so on, so forth. And I have actually changed my training split to a 4-day full body split. So next Sunday, you better be right back here, and we will talk about full body training splits, what I'm doing, how you can do them, and make those gains. All right, thanks for tuning in. Peace out.